Greetings everyone, Napoleon Complex here. I go by Ludendorf in the Southern forums. And welcome to the Field of Glory, welcome also to the Revenge on Hannibal series. So in this series I am taking the army which I met in the classical division of the Digital League. Today I am playing as the Romans and Greeks. I think it's specifically the Romans of 105 BC and the Greeks of, I think it's 146 BC. Or, no, wait, no, this isn't Romans and Greeks, this is Romans and Numidians. So it's the Romans of 105 to 25 BC and their Numidian and Moorish allies. And it is the only Numidian and Moorish list available at that time, so no need to worry about the dates. And I am facing the formidable Carthaginian Hannibal in Africa list, which, as I mentioned before, is one of the best lists in the game. We have a little bit of everything in this list, and it's worth going over the enemy list first, I think. The Carthaginian list has war elephants, it has elite cavalry, it has lower quality but cheaper cavalry which can swarm the opponent, it has a veritable swarm of light horse that can get around enemy flanks, chase off skirmishers and charge into skirmishers, and just generally cause havoc around the rear lines. Very good for locking down enemy cavalry so that they can't move and are delayed, even forced to turn around in some situations. We have these elite veteran African spearmen and veteran Italian foot. The veteran African spearmen dominate everything which isn't a legion or a phalanx else in the open, and the veteran Italian foot do the same on rough ground. So these units dominate the rough, these units dominate in hilly terrain, and they are both excellent for these units, and these units are incredibly reliable and will generally not break under any circumstances. Veteran Italian foot can get a little bit unreliable out in the open due to their medium foot status. Despite being superior, they take a -1 to their cohesion rule from being out in the open, and so they tend to fight almost like average infantry when it comes to taking the cohesion tests. But they are still very strong in the melee itself, providing nothing goes wrong. Things go wrong a lot. We have the warbands, which are kind of an odd fit in Hannibal's army, but these are good quality impact foot. They will dominate other average quality foot in battle, especially with their large size, allowing them to grind them down even if they don't win an impact. So these units will dominate other units of medium and heavy foot that aren't offensive spear capable. And they will also do a lot of damage to offensive spears on impact, so they're great overall at dealing with average quality soldiers. Where they fall down is if you try to use them against superior soldiers, or you can't defend their flanks, because they do suffer badly when they do lose a roll, and as a result they crumble quickly under pressure from superior troops who win lots of contacts, and especially enemy superior impact troops. So don't bring them against those. Bring superior warbands instead, because they'll go back to dominating the superior troops again. We have units of African spearmen. These are offensive spearmen, so these are the ones that have to look out for the warbands and impact, but if they can survive impact, then they will gain an advantage against any swordsman capable unit, as long as they are not disrupted. And so these units are there to... they're a bit of a gamble on impact with these types of soldiers, but they will dominate in the long term, and they will also dominate units that are only light spear and swordsman capable. So these are basically light spear killers, and fairly reliable troops in and of their own right. They're of course a downgraded version of these veterans. We have a smattering of medium foot. I won't bore you by going into the details of all of them, but we have impact mediums, maneuverable mediums, unmaneuverable mediums, which come in large numbers and are cheap and able to hold a large part of the line. Very, very cheap and mediocre mediums who can go around the flanks. And then we have a smattering of skirmishers who are really... This isn't a bad skirmisher list. The light javelin are very useful and you can bring a lot of them. However, what it really is a melee-oriented skirmish list. These light javelin aren't supposed to stand off and throw their javelins at things like archers and slingers. Instead, they are supposed to charge home and disrupt enemy skirmish lines, while the Balearic slingers and archers cause disruptions from the flanks, and that is how you use your light javelin effectively. So looking at my list now, Morbio picked. That's my opponent Morbio, by the way, who I should have introduced. He's a good friend of mine on the Slytherin forums. He brought actually a very good list. So this offers a lot of the same advantages that the Hannibal in Africa list offers. We have elephants, we have these elite cavalry available, but we also have a smattering of lighter cavalry. Not as many options as the Hannibal in Africa list, but it's still a good list, and you could build a mixed cavalry elephant wing if you needed to. Certainly enough to make any opponent bringing cavalry think carefully about their options, especially with these elephants here. You have light horse archers and light javelin horse, which again, the light horse aren't quite as cost effective, but you can almost bring as many light javelin horse anyway, 6 to my 7, and I can actually outnumber Hannibal's famous light cavalry if I want to, through the use of Numidian allies, which is of course historically what happened to Hannibal in the final battle of Zama, when the Numidians defected from him. And I think it was a partial defection. I think he still had some Numidian allies, but overall the Carthaginian light horse were outnumbered for the first time, and as Carthaginian horse rather were outnumbered for the first time, and as a result they ended up losing the flanks and losing the battle. We have some very expensive units. These I won't bring any of the veteran Roman legionaries. I think they're a little bit too expensive, even though they are elite. Remember, there's a point where quality difference doesn't matter anymore, so I think superior is the units you want to still gain an edge over average and raw troops. Elite, I mean, you can get an edge over superior troops, but you have to take that matchup so to get the most out of them, and I think that's a little expensive. I'd rather have a longer battle line. But we have a good range of cheap options here as well. We lack a little bit in cheap infantry, I suppose, but these Spanish Cetari and Thracians with fire are not bad options. And the only thing that I really miss about this list is we've got these rubbish irregular foot instead of my good reliable Phoenicians. And I like having one or two of these units to go around the sides, but they can't hold the battle line effectively due to the swordsman 50% status. And I actually sometimes think that these units should be a little cheaper than they are because they're just not up to scratch in a melee fight. They're only useful really as an infantry flanking force, and for holding rough ground against heavy troops in a pinch. But even then, there are better mediums you could use to assure that advantage, because heavy units can overcome them under certain circumstances. Royal Legionaries as well, so we have got some space filler units, but they're not as good as my my opponent's Hannibal in Africa list. I say it's mine because of course I often bring this list into tournaments specifically because I like it so much, and I suspect that I won't get to use it next time because of course I won't have first spec of armies like I did here. We do have the better skirmisher line to make up for that. We've got these Cretan archers, which matches up well against my opponent's Balearic slingers. And we've also got archers and slingers, as well as a good wing of light javelin, so I can cause disruptions at range more effectively, and I don't have to rely on charging into melee like my opponent does with his skirmishers. And that kind of forces him onto a more offensive footing, while I can be a bit more defensive and just pick away at him from range. So now that I've gone over the armies, I'll be back once I have set up my battle lines. Okay, so here we go. As usual, I've gone for a bit of a soft centre with hardened flanks, a small body of cavalry, as I tend not to focus on large cavalry operations, but enough to intercept enemy flankers and allow the infantry to catch up to kill them. I usually go into a mixed cavalry infantry formation if I'm facing large numbers of cavalry outflankers. Now that I think about it, and I should really have thought about this at turn completion, I haven't really brought a good counter to any elephants, so they may cause me some difficulties in this battle. I mean, I do have... Be fair, this is actually one area where the list does fall down. Aside from the javelins, again, I only brought one, I really should have brought more. This list doesn't have many good anti-elephant options. Elephants can seriously damage these impact foot, and most of my troops are impact foot, most of my good ones anyway. One option I often take is reluctantly just allow them to engage something cheap and then just let the elephants through. So we lose the unit, but that's 60 points on 36, and hopefully the elephants are tied up for a while the rest of my army can win the battle. But we'll see if I can overcome Hannibal's elephants today, and his superior cavalry may also cause me some options. I have a fairly good foot skirmish force. I've decided to prioritize it over the mounted skirmish force today. And these strong flanks should allow me to make progress on this side of the battlefield, assuming I can keep my weak cavalry flanks secure and I don't get crushed by elephants. But I'm suddenly not feeling as sure about the strategy as I was when I clicked the button. Okay, let's go. Right. So there's Morbio's army. I think it's a little small again, because he's up against these powerful Roman soldiers, and well, we'll see what happens. I'm being premature. Because that Roman cavalry is actually very dangerous. Lots of skirmishers again. That's been characteristic of Morbio's armies. So if we can cause a few good disruptions in my line, actually this could be very dangerous. I massively outnumber him on the left flank, on the right flank though. Also, the rough ground means I don't have a lot of flexibility to move this army around. Those raw legionaries are now kind of in the way. I should have thought about that in battle deployment, because now I can't really adjust this line until I get to about this mark. Okay, we're outnumbered on this flank. Let's have the cavalry link up with their... let's have the light cavalry link up with their medium cousins and form a long line here. So the plan is to advance to this point and then spread out. And we'll just drive these skirmishers back, because the javelins shouldn't be too much of a problem to handle. Under the circumstances, those elephants are going to be tricky to deal with, especially because I don't have any spears on this flank. But that was always going to be a problem. And once again, I do have a nasty trick to deal with them. Okay, and this is something I always like doing. Let's put our light javelin horse on the flank of these skirmishers, because that helps to deter them from coming forward and harassing us, or at least forces them to send some troops off to deal with that threat. They can just move up, honestly. So we're not exactly racing forward the rest of our line anyway. Or should I? Okay, I think I will actually push forward a little, because we want to get beyond the rough ground so I can start rearranging my line. I should probably have planned for that, because no, that's fine. As we move to the left, we should adjust to this. Because I'll be able to close up before I start the leftward move. Alright, next turn. So Morbio says I have a long line. Come on, Morbio, you've played against me long enough. You know I usually go for a long line. He might be going longer. And of course I can't start to move over yet. He's outmaneuvering me here. Okay, let's start this move early. It's always nice to have my valuable impact foot tied up against cavalry in the centre. Where on earth are these go? I didn't expect to draw off as much as that. This was only supposed to be a small distraction force. I'm going to hit his archers. And that's a disruption. Good. Let's see. And they can cross to there, that's the only thing. So to punish that, I will have my... The thing is, he can also move to there, so I will have my slingers ready to bombard those two squares. That's a half arc fire, isn't it? Never mind. Alright, this is always a matchup I relish. Although, no, the cavalry are threatening me, so I can't afford to be too bold here. And there's a nice corner for them to knock off. I need to draw up carefully here, not give the light cavalry any opportunities. At the same time, I can't just let them ride past unopposed. Alright. This really lets him get his jaws into my armoured cavalry. But if he's too bold, then I'll just flank him from the side and drive all his light cavalry off the field. So he needs to be careful here. He can't just ride in and attack this unit, not without consequences. Well, that's probably best that they have a general anyway, with all this dangerous cavalry roaming around. He's got the light javelin horse to worry about as well, because they could pursue and get a back attack. So if we're going to move over like this, we need to do it properly. And this is just busy work moving up the line. Although, no, not yet. That unit needs to go here, we need to complete the move. And that's not brought us close enough to the enemy skirmishers that I can't use auto move. And of course the cavalry are going to be a distraction action against the elephants. Although, move up to there, that opens up. No, stay behind for the moment and we will start to move our infantry over. I think I will move my cavalry to here. No, that still gets in the way of the infantry. That'll do. Keep our options open. How do I keep these threatening without exposing them to massive amounts of javelin fire, which will probably kill them? Let's see, skirmishers can move to here and to here. So I don't want to be on the square here. Pull them back a little bit, just to drop. That way you can hit them with one, but my cavalry also threaten to move up and catch them, and he won't be able to hit them both. He won't be able to hit the light javelin horse with both of these units. The only thing is he might return to the skirmish fight here now. Okay, this is going okay. This is going well so far. Next turn. This is going to hurt. Yup. And again. Two disruptions for my one. That hurt. It's also going to make it difficult for my skirmishers to catch his line, which is what I did in the last battle, because these units may not last long enough. Good choice of target, the irregular foot. They'll take casualties quickly because they're not heavily armoured. So I'm going to harry his retreat a little bit. This is drawing off my best units though. You know, let's attack, let's be aggressive here. I'm going to try and give him his That's not aggressive, lads! There are inconstant parrots which have shown more aggression than that. Okay, and I'm just going to go right after these cavalry. So this is what I tend to do. If my opponent tries to send the cavalry around my back, then I try to send off a large portion of my own forces to defeat it. And then once the cavalry are gone, I'll close in on the main army. So that's how I try to deal with encirclement strategies. I'll engage here. Oh! And here was me tutting. Right, that was very lucky for me. That's a hit. That's one frightening shock impact. My cavalry aren't quite in a position to support yet. What I can do is get the line on those light javelin men. And I'll go for the fragmentation on those archers. Good. Now if he does stay here, then my light javelin will threaten to either take those archers out or to wrap up his main line, and to make matters worse, I'll just slide in here and shield my weaker troops a little bit. So these archers are vulnerable to fragmentation now, and for that matter so the slingers actually. Right, we were making this rightward shift, weren't we? I'm returning to this game after a few days of not playing, so I'm a little bit out of touch with what the overall strategy is. So this is one more reason to try and play your games promptly. You will otherwise you kind of lose the thread of the battle a little bit. But okay. Next turn. On we go. Okay, good, no disruption. No fragmentation. Okay, right. I can't pin his troops from that position. And here I'm actually under quite a lot of pressure. Yeah, that's going to be 3 units of javelins. He might get disruption here. Oh, he's not going for the half volley? Right. Now I have to, okay, because my armoured cavalry now have to be used to try and block in that column. And that's not something they're well suited to. He's starting to come out to attack as well. So a large part of my force has now been expended trying to deal with these cavalry, and now the rest of his army is coming out to play. So I have a problem in my hand. I'm going to have a real problem in my hands if I can't deal with this cavalry battle soon. I think what I'm going to, and obviously that also creates problems for me in the skirmisher battle. Right, knock them off the field. Let's see if I can't do something with this. Maybe 1, 2, 3. I'd have to run 4 squares. That's not very likely, to be honest. Ah, come on, break them already. And they broke off. They've escaped. This could be going better. No luck, and I can't pursue them safely any further. So now I have a problem. I could engage here, but I'm worried about engaging with his main infantry line. I'm keenly aware of getting caught by this before I'm ready. Let's take a look at what's going on over here. I'm going to need that general, please. So I'm going to put the armoured cavalry here for the moment. I'll shadow with the armoured nobles. And my other units are just going to have to form a defensive perimeter. Taking a risk because these armoured cavalry do not do well against noble cavalry, but at least it's only a unit of noble cavalry. It could be armoured nobles we're facing here, and they would have been much worse to encounter. So let's see, how many units do I really need to lock this down? I think 5 should be more than sufficient, especially considering I've got a regular foot to help as well. So I don't need to commit this unit so I don't really need to commit this unit as well. That lets me bring something back to the fight, because I've still got this unit to worry about, which might decide to disengage. But hopefully this will create enough of a traffic jam that I can deal with this. So let's see how that does. So we've got 2 more units here. How long is his front line? He's got 3, 5, 7, 10, 14 units, and I have 3, 5, 8, 10, 14 units. Oh, so these are just extra flankers. Okay, so I can afford to send off the mediocre infantry. And I still have a flanking unit left. So just to make sure that we cut off all retreat there, I will send. I don't really think that was a good idea in hindsight. I'm making decisions too quickly. I really should have left them behind, because I think those noble cavalry are just going to evade and they're going to come back to the fight, and then my flanks will be threatened. But since I have enough resources here at the moment. Oh, they just evaded away anyway. Alright then. Those elephants are problematic because I don't really have any good counters to them. And I don't like these matchups. We've got some raw legionaries against Spanish Cetari. I'm really looking at the way the matchups are coming up. Roman legionaries against elephants, that's not going to be good. Ideally, I need to use the cavalry to draw off the elephants. I think we need to start falling back here. So far from being the heroic Roman general, I am going to charge in to drive off the enemy skirmishers, give our troops some time to retire, and the rest of my army is going to start withdrawing because we're not ready to fight this yet. They're fast enough that they can just fall back, they don't have to turn around. But my infantry, if they're going to fall back in time to escape from this enemy line, they are going to have to turn right back. So this is of course always an option that you have. If you are outnumbered, you can always start to retreat towards the back of the map. Give yourself some time to think. That's the strategy I used against Nosygrat in my game against his Indians. Next turn. Whoops, that would have been bad to forget. Give them the general, otherwise they'll probably evade. Next turn. I think from the comments that Morbio may have broken out of my little encirclement. You guys are dead to me. Oh, he has broken out. Uh-oh. Nice, elephant. Nice. War elephant. Well, I was feeling good about my chances for this battle, now I'm not so sure. So they're going to turn their flank. If you can turn his cavalry around next time to threaten the Arbor Noble cavalry, then we're going to be in trouble. Uh-oh. That was a bad time to turn back. Right. These light javelin horse should drop back this turn. But to be absolutely sure, yeah, you guys take the general for now because they'll just retreat. Alright then. And that does allow me. Now he is trapped against the wall. Though I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do with them. They will probably just come back if I give them a shove. And so all I can really do is kind of just sit with them here and stop them from doing anything else. So I mean, it's not a bad exchange. Those Roman legion, well, there are also things he can do, so I do kind of need to do something about this position because he can lock in his units and then get the other one around the flank if I just ignore this. There is nothing I can do for my light javelin, unfortunately. Yeah, that's going to be unpleasant. I think it's just jamming him against the side of the map isn't going to do me any favours. I need to actually destroy these units. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have enough local troops now to deal with the situation. I probably shouldn't invest any more in dealing with this. The problem is he's got a ton of light horse as well, and he's just about to dismiss these people. I'm going to have to commit the forces to deal with this situation in a reasonable amount of time. Morbio has definitely his cavalry's in a worrying situation, but he's kind of outplayed me here because he's lured off a massive section of my army, including two of my best units. I still have my forces over here. I have enough forces in the centre, I think, to win, and he has committed quite a lot of resources himself. But it's quite a worrying situation. Let's count his front line again. I think he has 14 here. Let's see. 4, 6, 8, 10, 14. And I have 4, 8, 12, 13. But these guys, I have 15. I just outnumber him locally. But he's getting the edge in the skirmisher battle, which is going to start causing me problems. Alright. And some of my units here aren't particularly good. They're raw or imitation legionaries, and those are veterans that are coming towards us. Pull back. For the moment. Give these guys a parting gift. Go broke. The only way they're getting out of there is if they can disrupt this unit, and we did manage to do that. So now I can push them out the way and my light javelin can escape. Hope anyway. Okay. Still want to try to make sure it's my skirmishers that are in contact and not my stronger units. Oh, great. I was kind of hoping to protect my other units. We'll risk a disruption to our javelinmen and try and protect the already disrupted archers. If the skirmishers can just hold the line for a little while, probably best move like that. We're moving into a line formation now. They can help to keep the light javelin occupied. It says something about how little I think of the irregular foot that I'll use them to distract light javelinmen. But it's a temporary thing. Hopefully they can circle around and start doing their business on the flanks. Okay. Oops, and oh. Well, that's a bad situation to be in. Next turn. Oh, and I'll turn this unit just to threaten the light javelin here. But turn them at this angle so that I can still leave them facing forward. The blocking the elephant takes priority. Okay, next turn for real this time. Okay, we're going. Assuming my archers can survive the return trip. Uh-oh. I was always likely to lose someone. Oh good. My own dying men got in their way. Going for the fragmentation there, which is a good call. Goodbye, javelin horse. Right. He probably shouldn't have charged there. So it's one of those situations where it's actually probably better to let your troops get driven off the map, because at least you can get them back later on. And they would have done a better job of keeping my troops guessing. So, let's see. Give them a general. And hope that we don't lose immediately. Oh, never mind. Okay, pin them in. Let's see. I need to send a flank guard here. It's still keeping me occupied. And here's the thing, you can't... There's nowhere to click. You can't turn on the edge square. It's probably worth bringing up with the developers, actually. It's not the end of the world. I can just charge in and pin them in. But it's... Could have been a better situation, for obvious reasons. Uh-oh. And that may have been a very... Well, no, my armored noble cavalry are unlikely to run away from noble cavalry. There was a danger that my troops... There's still a danger that my troops will decide to withdraw. And if these had been noble cavalry, this would have been a very foolish decision. But as it is, I am likely to get away with it just because my troops are high enough quality. Which is the result of sheer dumb luck and nothing more. Of course, by charging in like that, he has managed to destroy my light javelin horse even more quick. Oh, they held on. Let's see, I think I will turn like this, just maybe to push these light javelin horse, cause them some casualties, make them pay for it. And, let's see. Okay. Right. Okay. So while that's going on, I still want to recover these troops. We will continue the retreat over here. I'll continue to fall back. Give these guys a charge. No chance of actually catching them, that's why I knew they'd evade. Also because they were threatened by the cavalry. And yeah. Let's take a moment to quietly exit. And I think I'm going to start to veer off towards this side of the field so that we're closer to our allies fighting on the flanks. So this is going to be a long game of maneuver, I think. So this is a strategy, again, that I have been taught through painful experience. I played a game against a player who he had an advantage on the cavalry side of things, but his infantry wasn't good enough, so all he did, he actually started the battle with his men facing away from my army. And I tried to run after him to try and bring his infantry to grips, but we couldn't get there. And eventually we just ended up being hunted. The cavalry caught up, and we just ended up getting hunted down. No, why can't... Oh, because the slingers are on the way. Yeah, I can't turn to face thanks to those cavalry. And it's dangerous for me to attack now because those well, I think no, I can make an attack. I need to be a bit careful about it. Good. And let's keep falling back. But even if they're charged from this direction, that should still allow the that should keep them out of the way of the cavalry, which is what I'm really concerned with. As long as we're drawing some blood during the retreat, it's not a complete slaughter for my skirmishers. There goes our first realtor. And we'll lose these cavalry too, but that'll be more than made up by taking down these cavalry. Are you guys all backing up? Alright. Next turn. We really need some kind of death metal version of Nelly the Elephant for advancing elephant armies. Don't be a skirmisher in my army, folks. Remind me to promote those light javelin horse. Uh-oh. This is... Well, that was lucky for me. That was very lucky for me, very timely. Right, let's clean up the lights. Although those light cavalry fought very bravely. So that was smart of Morbio. He's just ignored this battle and he's going to try and soccer back to attack my army. I still haven't managed to get rid of those noble cavalry. Of course, what this does allow me to do is also turn right around and start riding towards the... I thought something like this might happen. What's going to happen is that both sides are going to end up running towards one another. Now, I do have another trick I can play. What I can start to do is I can start to actually turn towards those attacking cavalry. So I am actually going to... We're now in a situation where I'm trying to intercept his intercepting forces. These are the kinds of games I really enjoy, where something completely out of the box happens. I think my cavalry need to turn away now, because those elephants are going to start coming after us with a vengeance. He has a good chance of catching my irregular foot with those elephants, because the elephants move faster. Significantly faster. Do we continue a fighting retreat, or do we just get the hell out of here? I don't think I can yet. I can't extract my archers. That was not intended, as you may have gathered. I don't understand, sir. Are we advancing or retreating? Go away, elephant! Whatever you're selling, I don't want it. And we don't have any peanuts. That was clever. Goodbye, archers. Let's lift my slingers else on a limb. Got to say, this fighting retreat isn't going very well. Now, if I could get my cavalry over, I could lock down his expensive foot. Oh, that's something. I can just kick those noble cavalry aside. Alright. If I can coordinate this properly. This shows promise. Well, we're driving the light javelin horse back, but It's not doing us a huge number of favours. Let's see. He's positioning his light javelin horse to obstruct my retreat. Very clever. Right. Shoo. If I try that and I end up in the flank, he'll just charge me here and I'll probably end up in trouble over here. Need to be a little bit more careful than that. And of course we're in this situation. I'm just going to give them a standing volley. If he's going to focus fire on me, then I may as well focus fire likewise. Oh, we're low on ammo. Well, you know what? Let's run his skirmishers out of ammo. And obstruct his infantry a little bit. And get our infantry turned around. So it also matters which direction we run in now. That's an history of my life. Terribly placed skirmish routers. They cause me no end of grief, I swear. Now my Spanish Citari have to take the scenic route. Thanks a lot, lads. Oh, get lost. Of course, the raw legionaries can't change direction very easily. Neither can the Phoenicians self-foot. One of them can probably help the other, but the other one's going to have to remain facing the way it is. My skirmishers can possibly help with that. You know what? If he does end up chasing my elephants, my irregular foot to their graves, I don't particularly mind that. I might even manage to make it to the rough ground, though I don't think so. Let's see. That is a fight that our troops are very unlikely to win. I'm just going to run away there. They're probably more useful somewhere else in the field. And if it delays his Phoenician foot, all the better. I've tied up about, I can calculate this exactly, 57 points for my 24. That's a great trade-off for us. This all just turned around, hasn't it? So these are my units that are going to be decisive. Oh, which one is the one that I've sent running for its life? I think it's these guys. But if I'm wrong, I suspect it's probably the one with no command and control. Good. Oh, that lets me maul them. I need to think about this a little bit, because I do actually want to move up to his flank. This is why I'm trying to move everything over. I'm trying to bring these units in. I'm trying to bring everything together so I can fight him as one unified force. And speaking of that, let's keep moving. I do want to keep something on this in this area just in case his noble cavalry decide that they want to try and cause mischief and go somewhere else that they're not supposed to. But our Roman legionaries should also get in the way of that. Though I'd rather it was the mediocre Roman legionaries, to be honest. Just to deter any actions here that could lead to that, because I can always lock them down if they turn. Next turn. The Benny Hill sketch continues. Do you think elephants feel emotions like pity or fear? Actually, there's an interesting article about that. Apparently elephants have a similar reaction to seeing humans that we have to seeing puppies. So we're apparently adorable to them. The same areas of the elephant's brain light up. Those African spearmen are getting very close. Very brave stands by the Carthaginian light horse. Wouldn't expect anything less from the Numidians. And he's outmaneuvering me here. Yikes. That was close. Nearly lost my javelins. I know, oh no, what a disaster that would have been. Well, it wouldn't have been very nice. I do actually like to keep my units alive unless I have to lose them. Get out of here. And it slowed me down again. Keep moving. Get to the battlefield. Right. How are we going to do this? Alright. Let's really give them something to worry about. Yep, that stops him from locking down my cavalry with his cavalry. And now we're on top of these noble cavalry. Unfortunately, his army is now also on top of us. So we're now in a weird situation where I'm surrounding his cavalry, but he's surrounding my arm. But he's threatening the back of my army. And it's all going to look like a bit of a mess by the end. I think. So next turn I will have to start turning around and forming a battle line, because I'm out of places to run now. Let's think about where we're placing our units. We're forming up a flank here. The Roman legionaries are a good choice against this warband, and the mediocre legionaries and the Roman legionaries here. They're not bad against the African spearmen, but what am I going to use against the rest of his force? Now I think about it, I actually have more force concentration over here. It might end up being the imitation legionaries that fight. The elephants continue to quest after the irresistible smell of peanuts coming from my irregular foot's pockets. I don't think that smell is peanuts at this stage, folks. I think it's something else. Are they close to auto-braking? Nope, but we sure are. Get the hell out of there. Right. So I'm probably going to want to pull back in an L-shaped flank guard here, because we're outnumbered. And this unit turn. Unfortunate. Alright. But the focus of my attack has to come from these Roman legionaries who are arriving late back to the battlefield. And they can hopefully get a flank attack here. Next turn. I think I can just about get out of their way, but no more. I'm gonna lose those skirmishers. Interesting, they broke with 3 models left. That doesn't often happen. Okay, run away from Nelly the death metal enthusiast. Uh-oh. We may be in a spot of bother here. Get the cavalry ready to distract the elephants while my irregular foot make an escape. I was hoping to get into this area of rough ground, but I think Morbio will just deny me that position. Right. That could let his elephants in behind my line. Start to swing around. We're making our stand here. I want to menace his flanks here. Right. The problem is that's just armoured cavalry. I could go for the flank attack here, but it'll be costly if I can't stop his cavalry as a result. And sometimes you need to prioritise the heavy battle. Okay, you guys need to make for this sector of the battlefield as fast as your legs can carry you. Go for lucky disruption. Well, that was about the only thing I could do. Oh, I could end up slamming it the size of my Sutari. Oh, we'll see what happens. Worried about this gap in my line. That means I might have to shorten my flank guard. So he'll move here and these guys will have to run directly away from the elephants. Oh goodness. Morbio might have me in a bad position here. This hasn't quite come together how I hoped. Because he's got enough reinforcements on his flank to deal with this situation before I can, at least until I can get reinforcements over here. And my flank, particularly with this gap in it, is going to take a bad hit from these approaching Carthaginians, especially my Phoenician style foot having to stand up against Sutari. Alright, next turn. The elephant's hunt for man flesh continues. Because as we know, Tolkien tells us in the Silmarillion that the orcs were twisted and evil variants of elephants. Or are elephants twisted and evil variants of orcs? Well, there's probably some kind of tremendously evil conspiracy involved. I think I can well, no, I can't. I think I might have his flank, but it's dangerous. Which is why I'm generaling up. Brace yourselves. This could go horribly wrong. And it frequently does, but this time it paid off. We need someone to block that flank there. There we go. Okay. That helps a lot if we can hold it. And of course it means that I have to take a bad impact here, because I no longer have my general helping. We should engage anywhere where we do have the upper hand. Oh, well, that's not nice. Because we could push them back, and look what's waiting for us. Turn them to face. Or maybe we just need to stay on the defensive here. Because if I don't turn my units around to keep this area protected, then these guys are going to get around my flanks much more quickly. So I have to hope that this stays together at least a little bit. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to continue to envelop him around this flank. Oh. Uh-oh. What have I done? Stupid sleepy mistakes. We can do something with this. Nope. Okay, so never mind. I just completely cancelled the benefit of that out, because now he's going to get a flank attack on me. I need to wake up. Okay, other than completely screwing myself over by doing that, I'd say we're just about done here. There's a position in there, they're going to get driven off the field eventually. If Morbio is careful. But it's probably better than leading those elephants further onto the field. Hopefully Morbio will choose to charge those, and then I can set him up in a rather bad position here. Assuming my cavalry don't get caught, elephants can sometimes catch cavalry. But he's in a good position to smash all of this up with the Sutari. Next turn. And here's where I pay for my sloppy manoeuvring. That elephant just avoided us, but they're going to shunt me off the map unless I run away. My archers give up the ghost. Well, they served me well. I suspect, yeah. Oh well, they were doomed anyway, so that's something at least. Thank you, Steam. Menace to privacy as you always are. He generaled up for that. Oh, and that's exactly what I was afraid would happen. Very fast movement by Morbio there broke right through that line. Thankfully my Phoenician stealth foot held up. Oh god, everywhere I've displayed the slightest weakness. Thankfully the imitation legionaries at least can hold up okay. This has gone very, very badly for me. I had hoped that my line would hold up a little bit better than this. And these are entirely the wrong kinds of units to engage with initially in the face of African spears. Let me think about this. Okay, no-brainer decisions first. We get the flank attack against the veterans. And I think we pile in with the raw legionaries too. No, move them around. Problem with charging like this is the Balearics is that it could lead to my flanks being exposed. So those troops need to stay away for the moment. I am slowly getting around this line, but am I going to be in time to do anything with these units? At least I've trapped in these cavalry, so they can't do much to influence the situation. What on earth is happening here? I can charge and knock them off the field for all the good that's going to do. I'd like to at least use my cheaper units for that. Maybe the cavalry can go and help with the situation developing in the flanks. I see those noble cavalry going into the forest. I'll have to detach units to go and hunt them down. Or at least keep them busy and make it hard for them to return to the fight. I'm going to take a hammering once the Spanish Scitari attack on the corner here. But I hope I have enough units here to at least hold the line. It's this flank that's in desperate danger. It's a shame my lines are facing the way they are. This wouldn't be a bad option. I could try and drive the enemy off my imitation legionaries. I could also just charge out and try and fracture the enemy. Charge and attack here might just break the veteran African spearmen. If they fall back, I can move up here and hopefully do something about the situation. I can keep the enemy elephants occupied a little bit longer. But it's time I really need. He was so quick getting through here. I might be able to cause some hassle with skirmishers placed here. Ideally I'd want to use these irregular foot in the town to hold up the elephants, but with the Spanish Scitari, I suppose it would at least protect them from being flanked. Okay. Now, with the elephants locked down, maybe there's something I can do with the cavalry. It's all one big strategic puzzle to me. So he'd then have to move the Scitari to block the flanks here, but he wouldn't be able to cover this area here. That might help to keep the right flank secure a little longer. What I really would like to do is engage here, and the reason I'm saying that is if we turn to face in this direction, he can't come around here. But the problem is, these Scitari are going to get us whatever happens. There's a possibility I can do something with my noble cavalry. The Phoenician stealth foot did well. They've given us another turn amazingly. They've done an amazing job there. After initially doing a terrible job, admittedly, and I realised that there's nothing I can do to stop them from charging in and delaying my armoured noble cavalry. It's certainly what I would do in that situation. Get the light horse out the way, they're just obstructing us. Is there anything else I can do there? Might be constructive use of these units. Use this for these units. I could leave them here, because what that would potentially allow me to do, if he tries to place skirmishers here, I can move my mediocre legionaries around to the flanks here and the next turn. Even if there's skirmishers there, they can drive around and they might carry through and catch the veteran Italian foot. But that's what I want them to do anyway. I want them to turn this flank. And that puts Morbio on a time limit, because I will eventually break through here. I think this is where we turn. Oh, but then again, if he engaged with the horses, then we will be engaged. No, we just need to move out the way. I wasn't fully thinking things through there. You guys keep running and keep drawing them away. Maybe you'll choose to bring his skirmishers back to the fight. That will be annoying for our line and dangerous to us, in fact, but it forces him to make a choice, and these might get away if he decides to prioritize my main battle line, because otherwise he's just going to get both. I regret not keeping these guys free, actually. If this holds out for a long time, or worse, rallies up, then, I mean, I could have really used these units around here on the sides. And I'm not unaware of the flank threat to these veteran African spears. Oh god, I think there's even one to these raw legionaries. Too many threats in the field at one time, and I'm not keeping track of them all. If he can, yeah, he can move here and turn. We need to knock this unit out. Well, that leaves this side here. Do I want to attack here or not? Because otherwise he'll just engage me from the front. Although it is a warband, an ordinary warband trying to attack Roman legionaries. I could gamble that they bounce off again. It's not even a bad gamble given the circumstances, and if they bounce off again they could fragment. He was lucky enough the first time. And if he engages with the veteran African spearmen, that's exactly what I want him to do. Although he could stave in this imitation legionaries unit instead. Problem is that I know I can't keep all of this together. What I can do is try and get ready to charge out and try and fragment these African spearmen suddenly. But if he engages here, because he could charge here, turn this unit, and then charge in from the flanks if he can engage my units here. But part of me wonders if I want him to try and do that. If I want to try and go, because I know this whole flank is going to fail anyway. If I can get Morbio to charge into this unit here and fragment, especially with my cavalry looming here, while my legionaries could possibly charge out and quickly break the other units of African spearmen. But if it goes wrong, then my entire flank will be open. Of course, the simpler route is he just locks down all this and waits until this gets round the back. But let's try and stay optimistic. I do have this cavalry unit I can potentially send as well. Well, let's look. Can I defend this? So let's see. This unit here breaks. He'll probably shuffle towards the side here. If these Roman legionaries maintain their facing, they could potentially move to try and block the situation, at least for a little while. This unit attacks and fails to engage. This unit engages, or at least maintains its facing. This is a difficult one. The worst happens. Attacks here and moves here to open the flank. But they would be attacking at a big disadvantage. If I move here, I don't think the come on. I don't think the cavalry can move to here in time to, can they? Let's see, 1, 2, 1, 2, I think I can get to about here. They won't be able to guard the backs here. But if I leave this legionary unit facing this direction, then he can try to engage here. And then this unit can try to engage and he can open up my flanks here. He could also launch an attack and engage this unit, but then I'd be able to flank him the next turn. So I'm not... oh. But I think he could... can he block... I don't think he has any way to block that. He could move the Cetari to here. And then we'd be stuck. And then he could do all of that. So this unit here, I shouldn't have placed the slingers there. I swear you have to be almost omniscient sometimes to block every threat in this game. Is there a compromised position you can take? What if I turned like this? Because then even if he wouldn't be able to engage there on a flank attack, which means that these African spearmen would be taking a heck of a risk rashly charging into these Roman legionaries. If he tries to pin me here, I can move away to this square here and I can bring the cavalry up to pin. Still no protection to this square here, of course, so he could engage here. And then the veteran African spearmen move to flank as we've been over after this unit engages. But I do have a chance to force them back. Otherwise, it's almost certain that this unit will break and then he'll come around the flanks. I think that's what I have to go with. If it sounds crazy, then it probably is, but this is pretty much the best I could come up with under the circumstances. And of course, I could just choose not to attack here and move to pin us in. I'd have to engage then. But that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Okay. Enough from the diary of a beleaguered general. Next turn. There goes the world's most doomed archers. Alright, so he's moving up here. That's good. That allows me to reinforce my position on the left a little bit. On the right, rather. So they, of course, move around to the flank. They're going straight into combat. So no waiting for the flank attack to be set up. Oh, well, looks like they're holding the ground so far. No, they weren't going to hold out forever. That was unlucky. And it does look like the veteran African spears are going down, though they might hold out for this turn, and that means that my raw troops are going to get it in the neck. Yeah, he's managed to set that up. But will these guys stay in melee or will they bounce back? They bounced back. Right. And now Morbio has the beginnings of a problem here. Because I am winning these melees here, this melee here. And I can block this, which means I can go after Sutari. He's got cavalry coming through though, wow. This is a constant game of flank and counter-flank now. I don't think he thought that through. Because all of this is making it easier for me to flank, not harder. Yep. Not a terrible idea, because if they can win and force these to break off, then I'll be in trouble. And my flanking attempts will be in trouble. But on the other hand, I'm now going to hit him with a Roman legionary unit a turn earlier than I could have. So I'll move around to here now, that's going to be clear. A clear move. Because whatever let's pursue through here, get these guys forward a little bit. They can start to swing around. Can I loan these a general? That would be a very good use of a general right now. Okay, do we remain in contact? Yes we do. Which means that my Romans can now move in for the flank. In fact, this unit could actually get the flank attack, couldn't they? And this unit just moves on. So we're making fast progress now. A lot depends on what happens here. The veterans are doing what veterans do. They are holding out, but I might be able to auto break them. They didn't auto break. Those veterans may have once again just saved Hannibal's army. Okay, I can at least threaten to flank these veterans Italian foot if the raw legionaries manage to hold. And in case that doesn't happen and the raw legionaries break immediately, I have these Sitari waiting in the wings, though they might get disrupted. Because I've got enough force concentration I can ignore what's going on there now. Okay, so these veteran Italian foot are pretty much doomed now. Leave them there, because I want the flexibility of where to move. This facing gives me slightly more options. I think. Probably not much. Right. We forced them to break off again, but that doesn't really give me much now. I am forced to move here to protect my flanks. Well, the elephants can't flank me, so I think but I do need to control their movement, if at all possible. Turn to face the Sitari. They will eventually break this position, or they might break it quite quickly actually. But give them something to worry about in the meantime. If I can get a charge in here, I can possibly obstruct their progress. Well, it's better than waiting to be charged myself and then they go into the flanks here. We did it. That's going to hold them up again. So if you can just, well, let's see what happens here. I think I should move my general to here now, as this is now the key point on the battlefield to defend. And we held. I love scenarios like this. It's almost like little mini sieges. Okay. And if they try to move around, they're going to be obstructed by the cavalry. Okay, well this is looking a lot better for me now. A lot of my gambles paid off, and we have a lot more forces coming around to meet the Carthaginians now. Let's see, and we will win this. We'll push those cavalry away. I know those horse are in here somewhere. Probably going to emerge out here. Okay, next turn. Morbio is asking me if I want a top tip. Is the top tip never mess with elephants? They are getting medals. Yeah, that was pretty clever. I mean, it's not that unexpected. But he has fatally undermined this position now. Wait, he didn't take the flank attack? Oh, because he was worried about my cavalry. I would have been inclined to take it anyway, just try and break that unit quickly. Because it wasn't impossible to do. Keep moving up. Right, so this unit continues to swing around here. This unit also continues to swing around. That was unfortunate placement. I wanted to place troops there. Aha! Saved the day. Kinda. And now we're starting to close down those veterans. So what happened here is I just managed to get to the key parts of the battlefield first. And that might... no, they held their ground, but yeah, this is all falling apart now. I am still in quite a lot of trouble over here. Obviously these units are going to break out. I'm honestly grateful they just stood their ground as long as they did. They were under an enormous amount of pressure there. I'm actually still losing this in terms of total score. I think I'm in a better positional advantage now. A better position now. This does kind of distract my troops. All of these units I didn't manage to get any flank attacks set up. That's a loss. Well, that pushes them even further out of trouble. They're generaled up. Well, I might manage to kill his commander. There's no real... with my flank under this much pressure, there's no real reason not... No, there is. Because this unit could push my units off. Oh wait, they would just be driven back into this corner here, wouldn't they? So I probably do want to engage at this point. Yep, sometimes you just want to take a risk. Okay. And we'll fall upon all of this next turn, starting with this unit. And these units are in trouble now as well, so they're threatened from two sides. Absolutely heroic defense by my slingers there. And next turn we'll find out what Morbio's tip was. Sorry, small bit of extra action. I was moving from here and I managed to move to here to guess correctly where Morbio's noble cavalry were. So I've managed to pin them in the forest. I pursued this unit of light javelin horse, and what I'm going to do here is try to move to here. Now he'll just chase them off, but it does mean that I get these units out of trouble, and he had to invest an extra. He couldn't use this unit for anything else. He had to use it to chase off this unit before this unit could get into the backs. He might just choose to engage, and these will end up being lost, but I'd rather not have my heavy units harried at this point. I'd actually rather lose the light javelin horse and just let my heavy units move on unmolested. So that's what my thinking here is. Next turn. That was a very timely rally. Oh, for him, rather. So this is a classic case of being just ahead of your opponent in Field of Glory. In most of these cases, I'm just one move ahead, and any other situation would have led to me taking quite a beating, if not to my defeat. We can't hold them forever there. But I am breaking through his warband. These 3 units could end up copying it before I can get help. Right, so he decided not to try and drive them off with a charge. And that's why. Well spotted. Always keep an eye on the number of casualties caused to enemy units. You might be able to get an auto break. These skirmishers are just annoying now. Those are heavily armoured legionaries. My troops really don't care about that. Well, that could help. That means I get to choose when they break, which means I don't get screwed over by the pursuit path. Right, let's go ahead and nuke his Spanish Citari. Alright. How about now? Okay, and they're still holding firm. How about now? Oh my goodness. Okay, that was rather less dramatic than I was going for. Let's get the raw legionaries into the battle now. Something just told me that was going to... To be fair, he needed that. He really did. I don't have a general around to make this a safe operation. This could go really quite badly wrong. Okay, it didn't. So I can at least rescue my soldiers. Well, to some extent. That could have gone very badly wrong. It didn't, but it could have gone horribly. Right, let's just pile in. We're not saving ourselves by waiting around here. Okay, they stood the ground, but now my mediocre Roman legionaries are starting to fail against those grizzled veteran Africans. Well, that sets up a flank attack there for sure. They're fragmented. Hello! You're going to kill us, aren't you? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I don't want to die, Morbio. Okay, start to bring them around to the flanks. Hopefully, even if this goes wrong, should be able to do something. They have a good chance of auto-breaking me before I can do anything about it. Okay, overall situation is good. How long have they just been standing there? Come back to the fight. I don't... Yeah, about these light javelin horse, well, let's just watch the turn first of all. I don't want to talk over that constantly. Lucky. We could have lost them right then, there and then. I kind of had this battle won in my head. I shouldn't be so complacent. There's still a lot on this field that can hurt me. Ooh. Those raw legionaries had an escape by the skin of their teeth. Getting harassment from the rear, of course. Morbio's putting his skirmish advantage to good use to whittle down those Sutari. And with this many missiles raining in, it might be decisive. Right. Now this will help a lot if it all goes at the same time. Right, and that just happens to have protected my raw legionaries as they've ended up pursuing into this little box. This noble cavalry unit is in the most danger right now. Right. Determined to make the most of my moves here. Problem is the rough ground slows me here. Obvious danger here is that I will... Probably makes sense to make the flank attack with this unit actually, and have this unit move around to surround the veteran Italian foot, so that these Spanish Sutari can move quickly across the rough ground and get a start to help over here. So let's resolve this side of the battlefield first. Those Africans hold on. I was afraid for a second they'd push back. Oh, but now we're going to lose these units. Right then. Well, I'm really expecting this to be quite nasty. Especially as there's this massive traffic jam of units here, which is making movement difficult. Well, that gets us in behind his lines. Yeah, I'm badly obstructed here because of everything that's going on. And this pursuit's blocked us off. It's the raw troops getting in our way. Take that back. You guys are just going to have to commit to this and get these idiots out of our way. Actually, that gives us control of the raw legionaries back, which I was not expecting to see happen. Now I could risk turning around. Well, I could risk turning around instead of moving out here, but I could get disrupted by the spears. Which would leave me vulnerable, or even fragmented, and that would leave me vulnerable to the Phoenician style foot. It does seem like I might be wiser just to move them back and turn everything around, but the problem is my noble cavalry, or my African spearmen are running out of time. If we don't get help to them next turn. But then again, he just moved his Phoenician style foot to attack us and block any help from getting to that unit, so we just move away for now, I think. And we'll turn and face this situation. And we'll let these guys break and run away. Oh, how far are they going to run? That could end up obstructing us. And I just realised because of the position these units are on, the Cetari don't matter anyway. So I think I will end up just moving these guys through to here. I'm trying to get as many of my troops through as efficiently as possible to help with this situation. Right, club them over the head as planned. I think to make sure, because that's a tough unit, I will move the Roman legionaries through. That's the rough ground and the fact that, but that's going to apply whichever units I move. So move these guys forward. These guys are just going to have to take the long way, and we move in for the kill against the Cetari, who luckily, and that was very lucky for me, again, medium troops in open ground. They break immediately, and I get the disruption of the veteran Italian foot. So there's now far less chance of these units bouncing back, and I get frustrated. You lot can clear off towards the side of the battlefield. Not great positioning, but it'll have to be endured. And I will give a general over to these units in the hope that they rally up. And the murder in the forest continues. Apparently L is a hotkey that lets you look for... okay, unit list. I haven't acted with the... okay. Right, so I haven't actually done anything with these guys yet. That's important because they should turn that way. So yes, I don't actually usually use the tools much to help me out. I usually have a fairly good memory of where my troops are. Thracians from fire. I suppose they can take shelter in the village for now. Not that that will really help them much as they're already fragmented. I actually feel like they'd be better off turning around and getting back into the fray when they rally up, because they're not going to be able to hide very well from this horse, and I'd rather they took the time to try and get back into the fight. And let's see, the light javelin horse, yes. So as I said, I access this by pressing L, that's the hotkey for it. Well, I could try to keep these javelins off us, but what's one unit of light javelin horse going to do? I'd rather aim for where he's maybe going to be vulnerable. Try and dodge around the skirmishers, because my one unit of light javelin horse aren't going to be able to do anything to this. Next turn. Morbio's giving me the good game. So he apparently took a couple of gambles. Let's see what happens. I don't know if this is good game or not. It might just be that his position's deteriorated to the point where he feels it's a good game. Right. That'll go on forever. Okay. Yeah, those Phoenician stealth foot don't have long left to live, do they? Very impressive. Ooh. And yeah. And the light strategy paid off, didn't it? And my raw legionaries, they're fragmented, aren't they? It's actually quite a lot of my back line that's vulnerable now. Well, let's not hold our... Well, let's just see if we are actually victorious here, because I have my doubts. That was a little bit ridiculous. Oh, lovely. I really regret moving out the village now. Okay, I see where it goes wrong. Yep, and now that unit explodes, the panic spreads. And yeah. So you know when you see a crash in slow motion but can't do anything about it? That's one of those moments. Let's see. So get them to break off first. Oh, but they'll probably... Okay, they went off in that direction. Makes sense. They will try and get as far away from the enemy as possible. Don't suppose we have a general available. We do, but he's way over here, and also he charged this turn. So not much use to us. Now here's the interaction between Roman legionaries and veteran African spearmen. We get a good shock on impact, but overall, I think the veteran African spearman's discipline will tell true. Unless it's today. Because normally they have a good cohesion test and can withstand that kind of pressure. Okay. Right, so they're now caught. We are losing quite badly over here. At least this section of the battlefield. But of course I can move my troops here, which means we're threatening this flank. Of course, don't just jump into it. Let's see what happens first. Well, we stood our ground that time, but this is almost certainly going to be another defeat. And that's a disruption, which means that this unit will break. They'll auto-break before anything can happen. Ooh. And that puts me in a bit of a dicey situation. Because they'll probably route through to here and collide with my armoured cavalry, who have a good chance of evading off the map, and then the elephants go through. So I don't think this is over yet, actually. We're certainly in the latter stages of the battle, but it's not over yet. They can always run away if they're disrupted at this point. Lock them in place just so they can't get a flank charge against my disrupted Spanish Sutari. Is there anything I can do to lessen the threat from this? I could try and fall back, because I can see this developing. The other thing that could happen is the cavalry could decide to go for my Spanish Sutari instead, which would actually be preferable to them chasing off my armoured cav. And the worst happened. Okay, never mind. Next turn. So I'm just going to step forward one square to move them closer to the action. Don't run off. I was going to say don't run off the map. Bittersweet end to the affairs right here. I'm not sure why I didn't go after the Raw Legionaries. It's not over yet. That was important. So who do I attack first? I think I can get both flank attacks in if I play my cards right. That's not a drop. There we go. And that should end it. here. I could go in with the infantry, but I think I'll try and attack with cav. That should allow me to finish matters decisively. We would have ground these cavalry down eventually, but it would have taken a long time. Actually, I'm not sure, because infantry take casualties more quickly than cavalry. It's kind of a crapshoot which way this goes. We'll just pull out there. Well, no. I'm trying to draw fire away from these Royal Legionaries. So, of course, if the battle ends now, it doesn't matter, but if it doesn't, because of a rally or something, then we obviously want to be in place to keep as much of our percentage on the battlefield as possible. Move them around to here, that way if the elephants turn on us, we can slide up and around here. Unless Morbio moves to here, which is probably the logical thing to do, but that also presents problems, because obviously this unit can move around the threat, and then these units can swing around the threat on the flanks once this unit breaks. I think this is almost over. Next turn. And so it ends. Okay, let's have a word about that. So Morbio had a good initial strategy, sending out the cavalry like this, creating a threat I couldn't ignore, and making sure it was large enough that it forced me to lure away a good portion of my army, especially because the units I had readily available were my expensive units, which I didn't really want to use all the way out here away from the battle line. That was a good strategy, and then the advance after that forced me to basically abandon the skirmish fight. I couldn't support my skirmishers, so I ended up losing quite a lot of them, although I managed to fight a decent enough fighting retreat. Because he prevented the situation I had in my last game against him, where I locked. Basically, my skirmishers were outnumbered, but I managed to bring up my other forces to support my skirmishers, and I managed to win the skirmish that way. So he didn't allow me to do that, and also by drawing off my forces, he didn't allow me to envelop his army in the way I did in that tournament game as well. So he two very good ideas there, which helped. Unfortunately, I was able to avoid his rapid advance by pulling back, and that gave me enough time to set up a strong defense. And these impact foot are very good at defending, even in situations where it looks like they're surrounded, because of their impact status. They'll tend to knock units back or repel them, or just due to their superior status, they'll tend to win so quickly that flank attackers can't get into position in time. And so I managed to bunker up here for a little while, and these soldiers held out and survived the battle for long enough for other units to arrive from the flanks, where I got the upper hand here when I managed to swing my troops back into the action. Now that could still have gone his way had he managed to use his cavalry. Instead of bringing them back into the battle like this, what he could maybe have managed to do if he hadn't been pinned against the wall like this was use the cavalry to keep my legionaries occupied. But then, on the other hand, I'm also aware of the fact that if he could have evaded my cavalry and kept this force active but not engaged, then he could have constantly hovered around me with a force that I couldn't ignore, but was constantly forced to chase after. But I was never able to actually use to engage in the battle. Now, that would have been difficult because my cavalry would have, of course, tried to pursue him. But remember, my cavalry are outnumbered, so if I wanted to chase his cavalry and chase them down, then I would have had to move my cavalry out of formation to my infantry. So if I'd been foolish enough to do that, Morbio could then have turned around, beaten my cavalry, and then either surrounded or pinned down the legionaries, and then bring his cavalry back to the fray. And that would have been decisive, I believe, because I wouldn't have been able to bring these legionaries back to the fight to resolve things here. So there's no knowing what would have happened in this situation. I wouldn't have been able to rescue these soldiers on the right, and my entire line would have folded if it hadn't been for the fact that I got these troops back into the action. Now, actually, I think I was doing quite well on my left flank, but I certainly think I would have lost the right. And if you look at the win percentages, that 19% is not a particularly convincing victory. Had I lost this flank, then I would have lost the battle, I believe. Especially considering that it would have been probably the other way around, with the Romans losing 60% and the Carthaginians losing 40%. So that's my take on the battle here. I can't really say much more about the centre battle, because I think that was more or less came down to micromanagement and the way the two armies interacted with one another. I mean, Morbio did a fine job smashing through my centre. He got into that weak centre, which I always try and keep protected, or at least supported, and he blew it apart very quickly. And I think he also managed to get into a position where I couldn't protect my Thracians with my cavalry effectively. And admittedly, that was because I was stupid enough to move out of the town with my fragmented Thracians, who were only disrupted by that point, and they succumbed to an unlucky fallback. But the fact that he managed to get into that position was good. So certainly a much harder fight than last time, and I very much look forward to my next engagement with Morbio. Anyway, folks, I have been Napoleon Complex. Thank you for watching this video. Please consider liking and subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed the video. And I will see you next time. Farewell. And here is the casualty screen.